Thank you, colleagues. I am going to start the meeting. So I welcome everyone to this meeting of the Plans Committee on Thursday, the 20th of March 2025 for Charnwood Borough Council. Please could I ask everyone present to please turn off your mobile phones or switch them to silent to ensure the meeting is distraction free, and will you do that now, please? Thank you. May I remind all those present that this meeting is being live streamed to the Council's YouTube channel, and that by attending the meeting you are giving your consent to being filmed. A notice with further information has been provided in the public gallery. Under the openness of local government bodies regulations, people may also film or record this meeting, and this is outside the Council's control. For those watching the live stream, the Planning Officer presentation has been published on the website for those who wish to view it, and can be found on the agenda page for Plans Committee for the 20th of March 2025. And this evening I would like to welcome Mr. Stuart Evans, who is our legal advisor for the evening. Right, we turn to item 1, apologies. Mrs. Widdowson, have we received any apologies?
No apologies received, thank you.
Item 2, minutes of the previous meeting. We have all seen the minutes of that meeting, the previous meeting. Is the committee happy to confirm that as a correct record of the minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of January 2025? All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. I will sign those minutes at the end of the meeting. Right, item 3, questions under committee procedure 12.8. Mrs. Widdowson, have we received any questions?
I confirm no questions have been received.
Thank you. Item 4, disclosures of pecuniary and personal interests. Ms. Widdowson, have we received any disclosures of interest, please?
Yes, I can confirm that we have received one declaration of interest from Councillor Jane Lenny as a member of Shepshed Town Council, and she wanted to point out that as a member of Charnwood's Planning Committee that she has removed herself from Shepshed Town Council meetings when any applications are considered, and therefore she has not had any correspondence or contact with the speakers, Councillor Popley and Councillor Roberts, about this application. And she also has added that she's copied in the Shepshed Town Council and the Charnwood's Development Control confirming this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edison. Are there any other disclosures of interest, please? Thank you. I will move on. I'll move on to the main body of the meeting then. Item 5, planning applications. Item 5A, number P/24/1258/2, land at the rear of 31 Garendon Road, Shepshed. I understand you are presenting for us, Mr. Worley.
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's me or no one, anyway.
When you're ready. Thank you.
Yeah, well, firstly, a very rare event that we have no extras to complicate matters tonight, and nothing late for me to report on top of those either. So what you've received is what it actually is tonight. So if I can apologise for the deliberate mistake first, because I managed somehow to get the reference number wrong here, but the slides do relate to the right application, I promise. So as the Chair said, this is a proposal to develop 8 houses in backland, always a dangerous phrase, off Garendon Road in Shepshed. It's also off St Botolph's Road, which is the cul-de-sac linking to it, or very close to it, from the south. You can see those north and south connections. The proposal is to create a courtyard stroke street of 8 houses, as you can see on this layout plan, all detached. They're a mixture of 3 and 4 bedroomed houses. I've got a few pictures later so you can see sort of their scale and grandeur, or lack of it, as the case may be. And importantly, an access through to Garendon Road, exactly where we park the bus today, basically. So that would involve the demolition of the bungalow that we stood in front of to create an 8 or 9 metre gap to drive through a 4.8 metre road with, as you can make out there, a verge either side. And the houses grouped in a cul-de-sac. I was asked about the garage block. So if you can see the row of 3 rectangles very close to the access, that's the garage block being depicted. I just replicated the slide this evening just to home in a bit more on landscaping, because one of the features of the site, and indeed the reason it's took a few months to get to you, is the sensitivity of this eastern end where the watercourse that we saw runs. So basically you'll see here that they're, for all intents and purposes, leaving well alone a 10 metre strip alongside the watercourse to protect both the watercourse and to lessen the BNG burden. So just keeping that as it is. We saw this afternoon how heavily treed it is and how well established they are. And then the front gardens are 10 metres, 30 foot in old money, further within the site. In terms of the house types, there's only 4, and they're all very much variations on a theme. So that's the 4-bedroomed examples, I believe. So not especially large, slightly more innovative design than we maybe get every meeting. The colours there are deliberate. They will be white rendered with slate grey roofs, so quite sharp in appearance. And their 3-bedroom compatriots look like that, so very much the same theme, just a little bit narrower because of their smaller size. There's other parking in the layout. I'll just go back a couple of slides. So apart from the 3 garages, there's quite a lot of other car parking sprinkled around the side in front of the houses. So it all adds up to sufficient to cut to the chase. That brings the thing to life much better than individual plans. I hope you agree. This is the garage block. It's simply the perspective of this drawing that it's in the foreground and overlaps the house behind. But you saw in the plan that it's quite separate from it. I don't have one for the houses facing, by the way, but I thought that gave a good flavour. So the high-level issues, as they always are, is about the principle of development, and this gets a resounding backing in principle from local plans, old and new. It's well within the limits to development. You could see and feel that when we were there, let alone having to look it up on a map. So it gets the support of old ST2, slightly less old CS1, and soon to be with us DS1, without any kind of mitigation or deviation. Design and layout issues, they work at a technical level, but you'll see in the report there's a discussion about how this fits into the area, because it is a bit more modern. I used the word sharp earlier, and that's something of a contrast with both Garendon Road to the north and St Bottles to the south. It's one of the reasons we do site visits, so you can understand these nuances. Our view is that it doesn't really match either of those. Those 2 places are very different in themselves, by the way. But because of the layout, sitting behind Garendon Road, it would very much feel like you're going to a different place, and it would create its own identity. So we believe that that's not harmful to Garendon Road, nor is there a place you can see them together, so you don't get some kind of perception of a great big clash going on or discordance because you're either in one sort of character area or another, and we consider that acceptable because of that distinction that's physically available. Traffic implications, it's worth zooming in on those because they're probably top of the list in terms of the representations that we've received. But the highways have given this a clean bill of health. They did first time around in this application. There were amended plans more recently, and they've given them their blessing as well. So there's a condition about sightlines, but the sightlines on the plan, so it's only a condition saying they really must happen along in the same vein as parking and turning areas that are all present in the layout. The Highways Authority are just making sure that they're actually provided when the time comes. In contrast to an extent, the position on ecology, the position on ecology is not 100% bottomed out on this site. And the reason for that is that to do the absolutely final and accurate biodiversity calculation, you need to know every single detail of the site. And I'm not really exaggerating when I say down to the last tree and its size and pretty much the last blade of grass. I'm exaggerating now. But all of that detail has to go into the equation to work out what contribution the landscaping of the site's going to produce, and then balance that against what damage might be done in the process. But as you know, it's always been the case that that level of detail is not usually established until conditions are imposed and dealt with, kind of as the next stage of development. So what we've done is created ourselves the assurance or what we're proposing to do is create ourselves the assurance in the recommendation that when all that detail is thrashed out and agreed, that the BNG calculation is reworked, and that the developers make a commitment to go with whatever results it throws out. And that's what your recommendation A is all about tonight. It's very much on the lines of outline applications waiting for their reserve matters, different series of full application waiting for its conditions, but it's still the two-stage approach. And recommendation B is conditions. Nothing particularly remarkable there, just a number of safeguarding things around the buffer strip that I referred you to, and trees and materials. So this is simply a cut and paste out of the report of the recommendation, rehearsing that ecological position. So we're basically putting off the day that we have the final answer, but making sure that there's no progress until we do get that final answer and that we're happy with it. And that's where I'll conclude. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Worley. We have 3 speakers this evening. The first speaker is Mr. Jonah Maston, TMCS Architectural and Building Consultants. I believe you're the agent representing the applicant. Would you like to come forward, please, Mr. Maston?
Can everyone hear me?
Can I just say, you have 3 minutes to make your presentation. At the end of 2, Mrs. Widdowson, who's head of Democracy Services, but who is clerking for us tonight, and we do welcome here, will let you know once you've got a minute left. So when you're ready, please, Mr. Maston.
Good evening. I'm Jonah Maston of TMCS, the design agent for this application. I'm here to read a statement on behalf of the applicants, Mr. and Mrs. Herbert, who wished to speak but couldn't be here. We'd like to briefly explain what happened with the last application approved in 2021 and how the application before you is different. Planning permission was previously granted for 8 new dwellings in February of 21. With permission, we had intended to sell this land to a suitable development firm that could construct the new homes in a clean, efficient and safe manner with the least disruption to neighbours and Shepshed more widely. However, This plan was thrown into turmoil as the 2020 COVID pandemic caused widely felt financial strain and a housing market slowdown that affected developer interest in our site. We were pleased to secure a deal for the land in early 2024, but the planning consent expired before the necessary paperwork could be completed, and for this reason, we reapplied with the same proposals in July of last year. Shortly before we reapplied, the new requirement for a 10% biodiversity net gain at development sites became applicable under the Environment Act of 2021, and accordingly, we've worked with planning representatives during the application to provide ecology metrics that identify a 10% improvement. The ecology findings have led us to make one key amendment, the expansion of the buffer strip of land along the brook that borders our eastern boundary. We've always favoured this approach as we're conscious of our ecological footprint. The previous approval featured a 7-metre buffer zone, but this has been increased to fully 10 metres of protected, undeveloped land. The project would also deliver swales for drainage, native planting and an attenuation pond. We understand that we would need to enter a unilateral undertaking if this application is approved to secure the purchase of off-site habitat credits that further mitigate the development's impact on ecology. This is quite acceptable to us, and our solicitor is poised to draft the undertaking. The development itself would deliver 8 high-quality dwellings in an eminently sustainable location that enjoys good transport links, public services and infrastructure. The homes will employ renewable technologies to comply with SAP 10 energy assessment, such as solar panels and air source heat pumps. This is a small but positive contribution towards our shared sustainability goals. The previously overgrown and unused land would become a place for shared enjoyment, family living and a flourishing community. Lastly, several concerned neighbours have approached us to address vegetation overgrowing their properties. Due to the ecology considerations of the planning process, we deliberately left such maintenance until the planning decision was settled. We've also heard from some other neighbours that completion of the development is a welcome one for the tidying effect it would have and the improvement to neighbourhood security that it might deliver. Thank you kindly for letting us speak. We hope for a positive outcome to this committee hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maston. We'll let you return to your seat. Thank you. And then we have Councillor Miriam Roberts, who is speaking on behalf of Shepshed Town Council. Councillor Roberts, I believe you know the drill, so after 2 minutes, you'll get a warning. When you're ready, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm speaking on behalf of Shepshed Town Council. I'm Shepshed, and I have got 5 points to raise. One, access. We are very worried about the access to this, as it is only one road in and out, and there are 9 dwellings within it, which at least means 8, sorry, there are 8, 8 cars for each of the 8 houses. 2, flooding and drains. With the watercourse being there, I appreciate they have left a 10-metre buffer and there is a suds pond, but the fact that there is a suds pond is concerning. And also, how will these water features be safeguarded? Because the last thing we want is anybody drowning in such a tight space. 3, parking spaces on Garrington Road, Adair. This development is only going to make that worse, because obviously you've got 8 houses. If every house has, say, 2 cars, that's a substantial amount of cars. There are major concerns regarding parking. And 4, obviously it's near the Roman Catholic Church, which is opposite. So I just thought I'd bring that up. But 5, it's worth mentioning that there was a similar application in Quorn that only had one road in, and the emergency services vehicles couldn't actually turn round. Within that, I appreciate it was probably slightly smaller, but I'm concerned, could an emergency vehicle like a fire truck or a big ambulance get in and get out safely? Because that's a question some residents have raised. But it's mostly access, parking, water safety, and can the emergency vehicles get in as well as turn around to get out? These are major questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Roberts. And next we have Councillor Robin Popley, who is the councillor for the area, I believe, and has called this application in. You also know the drill, I think, Councillor Popley, so when you're ready, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for inviting me to speak at tonight's meeting regarding P/24/1256/2. I called this application in as I hold grave fears about the change of street scene and design, permanent disturbance issues if granted, and moreover traffic and highways issues that will invariably be caused by the application being passed. I'm already aware of the site's history, having called in the previous application for similar material planning reasons. At that time, I, alongside the residents group, spoke about the implications this development would have. Various sensible arguments were made, but the introduction of Swift boxes, yes, Swift boxes, appeared to mitigate the environmental impact of the application, an addition only made during the last meeting it was heard. Having reread our planning portal website last night, I note there are 19 separate objections listed on the portal. The Town Council has served its concerns, and it would seem none of my constituents' fears were allayed in 5 years. In fact, some have worsened, including some who were disabled. The permanent disturbance caused by vehicles to and from the site will be unnerving for them due to unsociable hours. Having reviewed the design styles proposed in the plans on the portal, and tonight again, they look somewhat out of keeping with an area which proudly displays some of Chalmers' nicest Edwardian architecture. There is one main turning circle on the proposed overview of the site, and with a set-aside garage area indicates that space for parking could be of a premium. The access to the site appears to be very narrow, and again this will invariably cause problems for emergency vehicles later. The Highways report published to the portal also states at paragraph 1.7 on page 2 that to inform the assessment, a site visit was taken on the 3rd of January 2020, during which most people might have still been off for Christmas holidays and just before the worst pandemic in a generation. Therefore, again, the date appears somewhat